Hey guys, 21 carries, 110 yards. I will say that Jeff Wilson is rumbling again, and that is huge news for the 49ers moving forward for a number of reasons that we're going to break down today as we watch some Jeff Wilson highlights from yesterday. I mean, this was vintage Jeff Wilson going into the dark place, running physical against the Atlanta Falcons. And you could just tell that he's feeling better. And that's huge for the 49ers. 21 carries, that's a workload right there. That's something that we've only seen Elijah Mitchell get for the 49ers this year. This was the Garoppolo dump off under heavy pressure. And Wilson took that one to salvage a play for the 49ers. But, there's Elijah Mitchell still on the bench. And it's the outside runs that really got me yesterday. Those are the ones where I saw that his explosion so important for this football team. This one was big too. Got the 49ers from away from the shadow of their own goalpost late in the action. Take the look at the cup here. Got away from 50 and just sprinted to the outside. So, for me, this is multifaceted. The best sign that Jeff Wilson is back is that he's exploding on the outside zone. That's absolutely huge for the 49ers because they need that, obviously, within the context of their scheme. But there's a little bit more to this, and for this, I want to pop open my article from yesterday. So we'll go to David Lombardi on The Athletic, and we will study the 49ers team mentality. Here we go. Laughter and bruises. The 49ers offense is a formula, and it shined against Atlanta. Jeff Wilson's dark place. This is something that was coined by George Kittle back in 2020, I think in October of last year, after Wilson had a 3-touchdown performance against the Patriots. He says that he loves the way that Jeff Wilson plays and carries the football because every time that he steps out on to the playing field, he goes into a dark place mentally. It's the whole dichotomy that George Kittle operates with, fun-loving off the field, but then when he's in between the lines, he taps the tattoo of the Joker on his arm, and he starts wreaking havoc. And the 49ers love to wreak havoc offensively, and they love to laugh about it, but then they love to inflict that pain. Think Deebo Samuel knocking out A.J. Terrell's mouth guard in the game yesterday. Well, that is the 49ers' identity. That's exactly what Jeff Wilson brings to the table meshes so well with what this offense does from a psychological perspective that it's a significant deal. The dark place is what the 49ers want to reach. So when Jeff Wilson is healthy and when Jeff Wilson's running 21 times a game and administering punishment over 110 yards, he is perfectly feeding into that 49ers psyche. And you saw it, in so many examples yesterday. I wrote about laughter and bruises. Well, there was an incident where Alex Mack came back into the huddle, cracked a joke, everybody laughed, and then the 49ers went to 3 straight Jeff Wilson runs. They gained 22 yards and set up their first touchdown. You want to hear about the joke? It was from Dumb and Dumber. It was directed at Brandon Ayuk, or it was about Brandon Ayuk figuring it out after a false start. It was funny stuff. Only Alex Mack, as a 36-year-old, probably fully understood it, but everybody laughed anyway. And it was part of the 49ers' relaxation combined with punishing execution. They looked in command. They looked relaxed yesterday, and that's because they're most at home when they're dishing out that pain, right? And if you want to read more about that or watch more about that, go to my post-game YouTube video, subscribe to the channel right now. I get further into it. I'm not going to repeat myself all too much here. But there was that yesterday. There was the Kyle Juszczyk touchdown run just a couple plays after the Mac laughter where Trent Williams delivered the quote of the day, and we'll find it in this article. I used laughter 5 times in here. Right here. George Kittle said it best. You can feel there's a giant hole where the B gap and the C gap should be, Kittle said. And it's just Trent looking down and laughing at a guy. So Trent Williams is part of it. George Kittle's obviously been a diabolical laugher. That was 2 years ago against Atlanta when he was blocking. The 49ers are at their best when they are inflicting those bruises downfield. And Jeff Wilson loves to do that. That's his running style. He combines outside zone explosion, which he didn't really have for a while there after tearing his meniscus and going through all the rehab and looking to rediscover his legs. But now that he has it, he can combine that outside zone explosion with that punishing physical style that the 49ers like. And I just think that it fits so pristinely in with their team-wide ethos, their mentality. And that's why they're rolling right now, because they're playing true to their identity, and Jeff Wilson is their identity. It's one and the same. The Venn diagram is one circle in that regard. And then, just from a tactical standpoint, Wilson's surge means that Elijah Mitchell now has more time to come back. Mitchell's dealt with like 5 or 6 injuries this season. The 49ers need the wide zone runner. They need a combination of a wide zone runner and somebody with toughness that perpetuates their mentality on the inside runs. And even on the outside runs, you could dish out some contact. Elijah Mitchell had been giving them that, but he also has been hurt time and time again this year because of the high usage rate. He's a rookie in the NFL. It's tough on Elijah Mitchell. The 49ers had to resort to using Deebo Samuel as a running back while Elijah Mitchell was out, and that showed that they were desperate for that backbone, that running spine to their offense. Well, what Jeff Wilson's return to form does is it buys Elijah Mitchell some time. You don't want to rush Elijah Mitchell back to action on Thursday in Tennessee? Well, you don't have to do that anymore. Jeff Wilson can do that for you. And Elijah Mitchell might play. Shanahan's holding out hope. I don't know if he's going to play, but the 49ers now have the luxury of letting Mitchell heal, maybe even a whole other week after that, because the 49ers play a bad Texans team at home. Maybe you save him and you get fresh legs for Elijah Mitchell in week 18 at home against the Rams. Speaking of fresh legs, maybe this Jeff Wilson, nightmare injury situation over the offseason, maybe it all ended up working out for the best for all parties involved. If you guys remember, back during OTAs, Jeff Wilson stood up in the locker room and he tore his meniscus as he was getting up out of that chair. You really couldn't make that stuff up. So the 49ers, who had been so perplexed and devastated by injuries, especially to the running backs room, that's been the most injured room, I think, on this 49ers roster, they suffered an absolute gut punch during OTAs when Jeff Wilson tore his meniscus in such, bizarre fashion getting up in the locker room. But you fast forward to now, half a year later, and the 49ers are absolutely benefiting from the infusion of fresh legs that Jeff Wilson has brought to their backfield. Because the 49ers running backs get hurt at such a prolific rate, and I think that's probably correlated with the fact they're both fast and physical, right? They're a bit lighter than your 220-pound bell cow, but they still run like your old school 220-pound bell cow. And I think that probably ties in with the higher injury rate. Well, because they've gone through so many of these guys this season, they're now blessed to have Jeff Wilson coming in fresh in week 15. He'll be, fairly fresh probably in week 16, although 20 carries, it's going to be tough to turn that around on a quick turnaround. But the point is, in the larger scheme of things, he hasn't played, and hasn't really been wearing out his legs over the course of the past few months because he's been rehabbing. So it's like a relay, and Jeff Wilson's coming in for the anchor leg at just the right time. And he's coming in with a full head of steam. So in a weird way, maybe the timing of that injury all worked out, because instead of him being worn down right now, Jeff Wilson is playing his strongest football in week 15, and it's buying the 49ers time with Elijah Mitchell. This is why you draft a lot of running backs. This is why you add a lot of running backs. This is why you just stock up in the room, because you need as many as possible to execute a full 17-game season plus the playoffs in Kyle Shanahan's system. It's a position that obviously his scheme relies on a whole lot, and guys go down a lot, and you need bodies. And Jeff Wilson is a valuable body for the 49ers. That was an impressive game. Obviously, the 49ers did lose Raheem Mostert earlier this season. I just see that comment from Mike down there. It was devastating that the 49ers lost Raheem Mostert early, but if they hadn't done such a good job drafting Elijah Mitchell, finding a perfect fit for their scheme in the 6th round, they wouldn't have overcome it. So you have to give the scouting department credit for finding a guy that was plug and play. And you have to give him credit, Bobby Turner, especially, for developing Jeff Wilson to a guy that holds on to the football and is able to give you, this is the game book right here, 21 carries, 110 yards. And you obviously saw the catch there. There's 2 catches for 9 yards for Jeff Wilson. That was a big play, the outlet for Jimmy Garoppolo. So 49ers are in a good spot. They're going to be in an even better spot if Elijah Mitchell comes back. But Jeff Wilson needs to keep it rolling for this team because he was a huge help against Atlanta. All right, everybody, take care. Make sure to subscribe. We will talk to you a little bit later today. Might have a special guest coming on for you. Either way, we're going to be talking about the 49ers defensive line and much, much more on this short week. All right, everybody, take care.